You also said, whosoever shall break the least of my commandments shall be least in the kingdom. Whoever shall teach and do, amen. We're not saved by works, brother. We're not supposed to do the law. You got to do just believe. So there's a lot of questions you got to answer. So here the Messiah said, what? I will put my law. What law is he going to put in your heart? Since you're a New Testament Christian. Not the law. What law? Why is there a need for law? If the law was nailed to the tree, what law did he put in your heart? And you can't use love no more because we just told you. As the people say, we done told you. They say that. Stop. We done told you. Love is nothing new. Grace ain't new either. Yeah, grace came through Jesus Christ. Really? What kind of grace did Noah have? He had a different kind of grace? Huh? Noah found grace, right? So what grace did he have? Old Testament grace? That's what my cousin told me. He had a different kind of grace. A different kind of grace. That's laughable, right? Oh, my goodness. See the stuff that we go through when we don't want to embrace truth, right? It's all day long. We can do this all day long. I go through the book all day long and show you everything that you've been teaching is wrong. Because it goes totally against what the Most High said. He don't lie, right? All right, so going back here. So the Most High said what? What did he say? I will write my law in their inward parts and write it in their hearts and will be their Elohim, and they shall be my people. Right? And they shall teach no more every man his neighbor and every man his brother, saying, know Yah, for they shall all know me from least of them to the greatest of them, says Yah, for I will forgive their iniquity and I will remember their sin no more. That's the new covenant. Now, notice what he said. Why did he say the house of Israel will have no need to teach anyone? Because it ties back to Exodus 19. Let's go to Exodus 19. All right. See, this is really easy stuff right here. All you gotta do is read. Now, we're gonna go back. We didn't read this last Shabbat. We're gonna read it now. All right. In the 3rd month, when the children of Israel were going forth out of what? Bam! The land of Egypt. We just read. When I brought you out of Egypt, that covenant you broke. Let that sink in for a second. See that? That was the covenant he's talking about that Israel broke. The covenant. We're going to read it. We're going to read so you can see. We want the children to be able to say, yeah, I see it. Right? We're going to wake up, what's his name? Ray Charles. Right? He going to be able to come out of his grave and see it. All right? In the 3rd month, when the children of Israel were going forth out of the land of Mizraim, or Egypt, right? The same day came they into the wilderness of Sinai, for they were departed from Rephidim and were come to the desert of Sinai and had pitched in the wilderness, and there Israel camped before the mount. Moses went up to Yah. Yah called to him out of the mount, saying, thus shalt thou say to the house, there it is, of Yaakov. Ooh. House of Yaakov. That has some weight to it, right? Why? Why house of Yaakov? Right? Did Yaakov have some children that wasn't of his seed, that was a part of his household? I think so. Right? Why? Because Abraham had some in his house that wasn't a part of his household, that he circumcised and brought them in the covenant, right? So, guess what? Yaakov had some people in his house that wasn't of his seed. This gets good, doesn't it? So, Mr. One West Camp, Israel only, got you again. Because Yaakov had children that was not from his loins that was amongst, right, the nation. Talked about that in our previous lesson. When they came out of Egypt, there were other people that was not of the seed of Yaakov. For example, I'm not going to do that because somebody will say, oh, yeah, but it didn't come from the Father. Okay, I give that to you. I can take you to Judges chapter 3 and you'll see that even after they came out of Egypt, the sons of the Canaanites took wives of the Israelites. So their father were Canaanites. What you going to do with that? You can do that with that, are you? You're going to take and run and dance around and try to get upset and try to, because he's trying to say the white man. Right? It's not about white or black. That's what your delusional mind have made this thing to be a covenant thing. It's a covenant thing. Right? All right, let's go back. And he said, the house of Jacob, and tell the children of Israel. Oh, so we got the house and we got the children. So he said, okay, tell the children and those that are in the house of Yaakov that may not necessarily specifically be children, descendants that are of the loins of Yaakov, but they are the house of Yaakov. And tell the children of Israel, right? You have seen what I did to the Egyptians, and how I bore you on eagle's wings and brought you unto myself, right? Now, eagle's wings are not talking about the United States. This means swiftly, right? Okay, we have to revisit Deuteronomy 28. Swift as the eagle flies. The United States is not the only people that took us into captivity swift. So we got to teach that right. All right? The swift eagle represents all the lands that had their hand in the diaspora, the dispersing of the children of Israel, right? All right? And brought you to myself. Now, therefore, if you will obey my voice indeed, right? And keep, he said, keep my covenant. What's that word for covenant? Berith. Berith Kadash. Berith, right? Covet, the cutting. A compact, it says, by passing between pieces of flesh. So you say, you don't have to be circumcised. That's Old Testament. Wrong. Hey, that's the signet of the covenant. So you ain't get snipped, you better get snipped. Snip, snip, snip. Snip away. Somebody said, ouch, brother. I'm just saying, this is what y'all said. Do we need to go back to what we told Abraham? The symbolic of the shadow is symbolic of the truth, right? So the physical fleshly cutting is symbolic of the spiritual. Everything is literal and spiritual. We can't do away with the spiritual application, just like we can't do away with the literal application, because Yah's word has literal application and spiritual application. One doesn't replace the other. They work like hand and glove. Okay. So he says, so that is the word cutting, right? If you obey my voice indeed and keep my covenant, right? Then you shall be a peculiar treasure unto me above all people, for all the earth is mine. So the Most High is specific to that. He says, you shall be unto me a covenant of people, a peculiar treasure, above. So those that say, you Hebrews think you're better than everybody else. We are. That's what y'all said. Y'all don't lie. So y'all Hebrews think y'all better than everybody. We are. We embrace it. Now we might not always act better. Some of us got the devil in our minds and act like demons and preach hate-filled doctrine. But y'all said it's contingent upon what? Obeying his voice and keeping his covenant. So if we don't obey his voice and if we don't keep his covenant, then we are not above all people, as it says in Deuteronomy 30, Deuteronomy 28, 15 says, you will be the tail and not the head. So if you're disobeying Yah, expect to be the tail. If you obey Yah, expect to be the head, in captivity. Somebody don't like that. They said, brother, we in the land of our enemies, brother. We can't prosper. That's not what the book say. You take that up with Yah, not with me. Go to Deuteronomy 30, read it again. Read it word by word, line upon line, slowly. And you wrestle, not wrestle. You wrestle with yourself, what you read, and get back with me. Right? You shall be a kingdom of priests, right? And a Kodesh nation. These are the words which thou shalt speak to the children of Israel, right? So, now, having said that, that's what we have to comprehend. The law is a requirement for the priesthood, for a kingdom to be above, right? Now, the nations have taken the wealth. You go to Romans, we can read that. We're not going to go there, but you can go to Romans and read that because of the blindness of Israel, that the riches have gone to who? The Gentiles. So when Israel returns to the covenant, guess what happens? That verse says what? Wealth of the wicked is laid up for who? That's right. So during 1,000 years, right? You do know you're not going to heaven, right? Heaven's coming to the earth for 1,000 years. And the law shall go forth from Jerusalem, right? That's what it says in Hosea and I think in Isaiah, Yoshiyahu, right? So we said a whole lot, right? We said a whole lot. So we're going to put this law in its proper perspective because we have those that say, oh, I don't have to obey the law. Let me give you something real quick. For you New Testament Christians, say we New Testament, we don't go. I'll give it to you. Right? If you touch that dial, matter of fact, call your pastor right now. One of these days, I'm going to do a roll call. I'm going to call them all by name. I said, you going to do that? Yeah, I'm going to do it. I'm going to call them all by name. I'm going to go on Facebook and say, would you please, what do you call it? Share, not share, what do you call it? Tag. That's a Facebook. Would you please tag your pastor on this lesson? Tell him, Zach got a question for you. And tell him, please invite me to your church on Sunday morning. Like Gino Jennings do. Gino invites you to his church on Sunday morning in front of the whole congregation. Do it to me, please. Invite me in front of your whole congregation on Sunday morning. I'll come.